Imagine a world where a single individual's unwavering belief in the divine not only transformed his own life, but also laid the foundation for three of the world's largest religions: Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. This man, Abraham, is a towering figure in human history, revered as a patriarch, a prophet, and a paragon of faith. His story, spanning thousands of years, continues to inspire billions of people across the globe. From his humble beginnings in the ancient city of Ur to his ultimate test of faith on Mount Moriah, Abraham's journey is one of courage, sacrifice, and divine promise. Let us embark on a captivating exploration of his life, his trials, and his enduring legacy. Abraham's story begins in the ancient city of Ur of the Chaldeans, a bustling metropolis located in what is now modern-day Iraq. Ur was a center of culture, commerce, and idol worship, a place where polytheism reigned supreme. Born into this environment, Abraham, originally named Abram, grew up surrounded by the worship of multiple gods. Yet, even in his early years, there was something different about him. According to Jewish tradition, Abram questioned the validity of idol worship, recognizing the futility of serving gods made of wood and stone. This inner questioning would set the stage for a divine encounter that would change the course of history. One day, God spoke to Abram, commanding him to leave his homeland, his family, and everything he had ever known. "Go from your country, your people, and your father's household to the land I will show you," God said. This was no small request. Abram was being asked to abandon the security of his familiar surroundings and venture into the unknown, guided solely by faith. But the promise that accompanied this command was extraordinary. "I will make you into a great nation, and I will bless you. I will make your name great, and you will be a blessing." With this covenant, God established a profound relationship with Abram, one that would shape the destiny of his descendants and, ultimately, the world. Abram obeyed without hesitation, taking his wife Sarai, later renamed Sarah, his nephew Lot, and all his possessions, and setting out for the land of Canaan. This act of faith marked the beginning of a journey that would define Abram's life and legacy. Upon arriving in Canaan, God appeared to Abram again, reaffirming his promise. "To your offspring I will give this land." This was the first of many instances where God would remind Abram of his covenant, a promise that seemed impossible given Abram's advanced age and Sarai's barrenness. Yet, Abram believed, and his faith was credited to him as righteousness. The promise of descendants was central to God's covenant with Abram, but it was also the source of great trials. Abram and Sarai were well past the age of childbearing, and years passed without the fulfillment of God's promise. This delay tested Abram's faith, leading him and Sarai to take matters into their own hands. Following a custom of the time, Sarai offered her Egyptian maidservant, Hagar, to Abram as a surrogate. Hagar bore a son named Ishmael, but this was not the child of promise. God had a different plan, one that required unwavering trust in his timing. 13 years after Ishmael's birth, God appeared to Abram again, reaffirming his covenant and changing Abram's name to Abraham, meaning father of many nations. Sarai's name was also changed to Sarah, signifying her role as the mother of nations. God promised that Sarah would bear a son, Isaac, through whom the covenant would be fulfilled. This announcement was met with laughter from Abraham and Sarah, both of whom were well into their 90s. Yet, as God had promised, Sarah conceived and gave birth to Isaac, a miraculous event that underscored the power of divine intervention. Abraham's faith was further tested by the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, two cities notorious for their wickedness. When God revealed his plan to destroy the cities, Abraham interceded on their behalf, pleading for mercy if even a handful of righteous people could be found. This dialogue between Abraham and God reveals not only Abraham's compassion, but also his growing understanding of God's justice and mercy. In the end, only Lot and his family were spared, as the cities were consumed by fire and brimstone. This event served as a stark reminder of the consequences of sin and the importance of righteousness. Perhaps the most profound and challenging moment in Abraham's life was the test of his faith on Mount Moriah. God commanded Abraham to take his beloved son Isaac, the child of promise, and offer him as a sacrifice. This command seemed to contradict everything God had promised, as Isaac was the key to the fulfillment of the covenant. Yet, Abraham obeyed without hesitation, demonstrating his absolute trust in God's plan. The journey to Mount Moriah was undoubtedly agonizing for Abraham. Every step brought him closer to the unthinkable act of sacrificing his son. Yet, when Isaac asked where the lamb for the sacrifice was, Abraham replied, "God himself will provide the lamb." This statement reflects Abraham's unwavering faith that God would somehow fulfill his promise, even in the face of apparent contradiction. As Abraham raised the knife to sacrifice Isaac, an angel of the Lord intervened, staying his hand. "Do not lay a hand on the boy," the angel said. "Now I know that you fear God, because you have not withheld from me your son, your only son." Abraham then saw a ram caught in a thicket, which he offered as a sacrifice instead of Isaac. This event, known as the Akedah in Jewish tradition, is a powerful testament to Abraham's faith and obedience. It also foreshadows the concept of substitutionary atonement, a theme that resonates deeply in Christianity. In Islamic tradition, this story is slightly different, with Ishmael being the son offered for sacrifice. Regardless of the variation, the core message remains the same. Abraham's willingness to surrender what was most precious to him exemplifies the ultimate act of faith and submission to God's will. Abraham's legacy extends far beyond his own lifetime, influencing the beliefs and practices of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. In Judaism, Abraham is revered as the first patriarch, the father of the Israelite nation. His covenant with God forms the foundation of Jewish identity, and his story is recounted in the Torah as a model of faithfulness and obedience. In Christianity, Abraham is celebrated as an exemplar of faith. The Apostle Paul frequently references Abraham in his letters, emphasizing that justification comes through faith, as demonstrated by Abraham's belief in God's promises. The New Testament also draws parallels between Abraham's willingness to sacrifice Isaac and God's sacrifice of his own son, Jesus Christ, highlighting the themes of redemption and covenant. In Islam, Abraham, known as Ibrahim, is honored as a prophet and a friend of God. He is regarded as a central figure in the Hajj pilgrimage, with many of its rituals commemorating events from his life. The story of Ibrahim and Ishmael's sacrifice is reenacted during Eid al-Adha, a major Islamic festival. Additionally, Ibrahim is seen as a precursor to Muhammad, the final prophet, and his unwavering monotheism serves as a model for Muslims worldwide. Abraham's impact on the world is immeasurable. He is often referred to as the father of monotheism, the belief in one God, which distinguishes Judaism, Christianity, and Islam from polytheistic religions. His faith and obedience set a standard for spiritual devotion that continues to inspire believers across generations. Beyond religion, Abraham's story resonates with universal themes of trust, sacrifice, and hope. His willingness to leave his homeland, his patience in waiting for God's promises, and his readiness to surrender his son all speak to the human experience of grappling with uncertainty and finding meaning in divine purpose. Today, billions of people trace their spiritual heritage back to Abraham. Jews, Christians, and Muslims alike look to him as a model of faith and a reminder of the power of belief. His legacy is not confined to ancient texts, but lives on in the hearts and practices of those who follow the Abrahamic traditions. In a world often divided by differences, Abraham's story serves as a unifying thread, reminding us of our shared spiritual roots. His life challenges us to examine our own faith, to trust in the promises of the divine, and to act with courage and compassion. As we reflect on Abraham's journey, we are invited to consider how our own lives might shape the course of history, just as one man's faith did thousands of years ago. To fully appreciate Abraham's story, it is essential to understand the cultural and historical context in which he lived. The ancient Near East, where Abraham's journey began, was a region of great diversity and complexity. It was a land of city-states, each with its own gods and religious practices. Ur, Abraham's birthplace, was a prominent city in Mesopotamia, known for its ziggurats and advanced civilization. The people of Ur worshipped a pantheon of gods, with Nana, the moon god, being the chief deity. In this polytheistic environment, Abraham's monotheism was revolutionary. His belief in one God set him apart from his contemporaries and laid the groundwork for the monotheistic religions that would follow. This shift from polytheism to monotheism was not just a theological change, but also a cultural and social one. It redefined the relationship between humanity and the divine, emphasizing a personal and covenantal relationship with God. Abraham's journey from Ur to Canaan also reflects the migratory patterns of the time. The ancient Near East was a region of constant movement, with tribes and clans traveling in search of pasture land and resources. Abraham's nomadic lifestyle was typical of the era, but his divine calling gave his journey a unique purpose. He was not just wandering aimlessly, he was following God's guidance to a promised land. The covenant between God and Abraham is a central theme in his story. In the ancient world, covenants were solemn agreements, often accompanied by rituals and sacrifices. They were used to establish relationships, alliances, and obligations between parties. The covenant between God and Abraham was unique in that it was initiated by God and involved a promise of land, descendants, and blessing. The terms of the covenant were reiterated several times throughout Abraham's life, each time with additional details and assurances. For example, in Genesis 15, God formalized the covenant through a vision and a ritual involving a smoking firepot and a blazing torch. This ritual symbolized God's presence and his commitment to fulfill his promises. The covenant also included a sign, circumcision. God commanded Abraham and all his male descendants to be circumcised as a physical sign of their covenant relationship. This practice became a defining characteristic of the Israelite people and a symbol of their identity as God's chosen people. Abraham's relationships with his family members were complex and often fraught with tension. His marriage to Sarah was central to the fulfillment of God's promise, but it was also marked by moments of doubt and conflict. Sarah's decision to offer Hagar to Abraham as a surrogate led to tension and rivalry between the two women. Hagar's son, Ishmael, was blessed by God and became the ancestor of a great nation, but he was not the child of promise. Abraham's relationship with his nephew Lot also provides insight into his character. When conflict arose between their herdsmen, Abraham chose to avoid strife by allowing Lot to choose the best land. This act of generosity and peacemaking demonstrated Abraham's trust in God's provision. The most challenging aspect of Abraham's family life was the test of sacrificing Isaac. This event tested not only Abraham's faith, but also his relationship with his son. Isaac's willingness to be bound and placed on the altar reflects his trust in his father and, ultimately, in God. Abraham's influence extends far beyond his immediate family. His descendants, the Israelites, became a nation with a unique relationship with God. The covenant with Abraham was reaffirmed with his son Isaac and his grandson Jacob, whose 12 sons became the ancestors of the 12 tribes of Israel. In Christianity, Abraham is seen as a spiritual ancestor of all believers. The Apostle Paul describes Abraham as the father of all who have faith, whether they are Jews or Gentiles. This universal aspect of Abraham's legacy emphasizes the inclusivity of God's promises. In Islam, Abraham is revered as a model of submission to God. His willingness to sacrifice his son is commemorated during the Hajj pilgrimage, and his legacy is celebrated in Islamic teachings and traditions. Abraham's story continues to resonate with people of all faiths and backgrounds. His journey of faith, marked by trials and triumphs, offers timeless lessons for navigating the challenges of life. His willingness to trust in God's promises, even when they seemed impossible, inspires us to have faith in the face of uncertainty. Abraham's legacy also challenges us to consider our own relationship with the divine. Are we willing to leave behind the familiar and step into the unknown, trusting in God's guidance? Are we prepared to surrender our most cherished possessions and desires in obedience to God's will? In a world that often values material success and self-reliance, Abraham's story reminds us of the importance of faith, humility, and dependence on God. His life is a testament to the transformative power of belief and the enduring impact of one man's faith on the course of history. This exploration of Abraham's life is but a glimpse into the profound impact of his story. From his humble beginnings in Ur to his ultimate test of faith on Mount Moriah, Abraham's journey is a testament to the transformative power of belief. His legacy continues to inspire and guide, offering timeless lessons for all who seek to live a life of faith and purpose. The story of Prophet Abraham is filled with divine encounters, tests of faith, and moments that shaped religious traditions. One of the most intriguing episodes in his life is when 3 mysterious guests visited him. This event, recorded in both the Bible and the Quran, holds deep theological and moral significance. Who were these guests? Why did they visit Abraham? And what messages did they bring? In this deep dive, we will explore the significance of this divine encounter and its impact across different faiths. The biblical account of the angelic visit to Abraham is found in Genesis 18. It begins with Abraham sitting at the entrance of his tent in the heat of the day. Suddenly, he sees 3 men standing nearby. Without hesitation, Abraham runs to them, bows low, and offers them hospitality. In ancient Middle Eastern culture, hospitality was a sacred duty. Abraham's eagerness to serve these guests reflects his deep sense of righteousness and generosity. He offers them water to wash their feet, a place to rest, and prepares a meal consisting of fine flour, curds, milk, and a tender calf. This act of hospitality is later referenced in the New Testament in Hebrews 13:2. Do not forget to show hospitality to strangers, for by so doing, some people have entertained angels without knowing it. As the guests eat, one of them, later revealed as the Lord, delivers a prophetic message. Sarah, Abraham's wife, will bear a son within a year. Sarah, who is eavesdropping, laughs in disbelief since she is well past childbearing age. However, the Lord reassures them, saying, "Is anything too hard for the Lord?" Genesis 18:14. This moment marks the reaffirmation of God's covenant with Abraham, promising him descendants as numerous as the stars. The fulfillment of this promise comes with the birth of Isaac, a pivotal figure in both Jewish and Christian traditions. After delivering the promise, the visitors turn their attention to another matter, the fate of Sodom and Gomorrah. The Lord reveals to Abraham that the sins of these cities have become so great that their destruction is imminent. Abraham, known for his deep compassion, intercedes on behalf of the people. He asks God if he would spare the city if 50 righteous people were found. The Lord agrees. Abraham continues to negotiate, reducing the number to 45, then 40, 30, 20, and finally 10. The Lord assures Abraham that if 10 righteous individuals are found, the cities will be spared. Unfortunately, as later revealed, not even 10 righteous people existed, leading to their eventual destruction. The Quran also narrates the story of Abraham's angelic visitors, emphasizing different aspects of the encounter. In Surah Hud 11:69-70, the angels visit Abraham in the form of men and are given a roasted calf. However, when they do not eat, Abraham becomes fearful. In ancient customs, refusing food was often seen as a sign of hostility. Sensing his unease, the angels reassure him that they have come with good news. A child will be born to him. Sarah, like in the biblical account, reacts with disbelief, questioning how she could bear a child in her old age. The angels affirm that this is a decree from Allah and that his word will come to pass. In Surah Dariyat 51:31-37, after delivering the good news, the angels reveal their second mission, the destruction of the wicked people of Sodom and Gomorrah. Abraham, known for his kindness, pleads on their behalf, much like in the biblical version. However, the angels inform him that the decree is final and that only Prophet Lot, and his righteous followers will be spared. Both the biblical and Quranic narratives share similarities. 3 visitors. The mysterious guests are portrayed as divine beings in both accounts. Hospitality. Abraham's generosity is highlighted in both traditions. The promise of a son. Both scriptures record Sarah's disbelief and God's reassurance. Intercession for Sodom. Abraham pleads for the people, demonstrating his compassion. However, there are also differences. The Bible explicitly states that one of the guests is the Lord, while the Quran emphasizes them as angels. The Quran includes a scene where Abraham is initially fearful of his guests. The Quranic narrative does not include the negotiation for sparing Sodom beyond Prophet Lot and his family. The announcement of Isaac's birth, despite Sarah's old age, underscores the omnipotence of God. It highlights the theme that God's promises will always be fulfilled, no matter how impossible they seem. Abraham's kindness is a model of how humans should treat strangers. His example reinforces the idea that acts of generosity can lead to divine blessings. The destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah reflects God's justice, yet Abraham's plea for the people highlights divine mercy. This duality of justice and compassion is a recurring theme in religious teachings. Abraham's bargaining with God is one of the earliest examples of intercession in religious texts. It shows that even the most righteous individuals seek mercy for others, emphasizing the power of prayer and advocacy. Always show kindness. Abraham's willingness to serve strangers teaches us the importance of generosity and hospitality. Trust in God's plan. Even when circumstances seem impossible, faith in God's promises leads to miracles. Stand against corruption. The destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah warns against moral decay and the consequences of unchecked sin. Advocate for others. Just as Abraham pleaded for the people of Sodom, we should seek justice and mercy for those in need. The story of Abraham and his mysterious visitors is one of divine revelation, mercy, justice, and faith. It is a powerful reminder of God's ability to make the impossible possible and a lesson on the virtues of kindness and righteousness. Whether viewed through the lens of the Bible or the Quran, this encounter continues to inspire and guide believers in their faith and daily lives. Would you have entertained these guests the way Abraham did? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.